Living with passion, 10 simple secrets that guarantee you success. Quite literally, by many, a one way ticket out of mediocrity into an empowered life. Biden. Wow. Success secret 1, challenge. 2, belief. Purpose and values. Conquer fear, attitude, focus, commitment, desire, goals, choice. Aha, epilogue the problem. Have a great day and live with passion. That's how the greetings message. Live with passion. Wow. Why am I writing this book? As I write this, I'm 27 years old. I graduated at the top of my class in Laos school when I was 24. That same year, I went to work for what many consider as number one law firm in the US and was earning close to a six-figure salary. I was a success. In law school, I met the most wonderful woman in the world. I want to tell you a story about her. This woman had everything to live for. She was both brilliant and beautiful, a card-carrying charmer. Upon graduation, she married a man she had met while in school. The two were tremendously successful. They were earning a small fortune, building a marvelous life together, and decided to start a family. A healthy, beautiful baby girl was born, and that's when the pain started. They were gripping arthritic achings that started in a woman's knees and breasts. They were at times so severe and described them as times worse than labor pains, and got worse. Eventually, her doctor diagnosed the woman having lupus. Some days she was fine, however. More often than not, she would awaken early in the morning in agony, paralyzed with pain. The worst part was that there was little she could do about it, very silently suffer. Her increasing disability brought forth a newfound level of great strength from her. At the same time, oddly, the woman she had married grew weak. He would not share her pain. He offered her less and less comfort. He withdrew into himself and became depressed, began not only to ignore his ailing wife, who needed him more than ever before, but also to avoid their baby daughter as well. He decided to quit law. His restless longing for fulfillment and satisfaction sent him off in several entrepreneurial directions, yet he always remained in the same place, loose and looking for something he couldn't see. Say what? I know it when I find it. Just know. He asserted, and he looked and looked some more, and wife constantly coping with the aching in her legs and the new agony of loneliness in her heart supported him. She on her husband in every conceivable way. When her pain grew too great to bear, she could go by herself to the doctor for treatment. She never let him know. She never distracted him from his search. She loved him and had faith in him at the time, far more faith than he had in himself. He would come home dressed in Buddhist even after a painful session in the hospital, stuck with needles, draining fluid to relieve the unbearable pressure in her legs. Greeted him cheerfully, smiling, supportive as always. Eventually, this ever so strong and quite miraculous woman, this monumented to the power of the human spirit, concluding that the medical doctors and their conventional treatment had nothing to offer her. While they had alleviated some of the pain, though by no means the most of it, their cures were symptomatic at best. They could not get the source of her disease. Her condition was, in their words, a life sentence. She was advised to accept the inevitable, and that she could not and would not accept. Her belief in the power of human healing was so strong, she just knew there was an answer. Much like her searching husband, she did not know where to look, but she knew that to recognize it when she found it. Against the advice of a physician and the well-meaning protection from disappointment of family and friends, she turned to alternative treatments and with the guidance of an applied kynology. The rigorous regime of treatment and diet slowly began to diminish with the periods of her pain. As she traveled an hour and a half each way to the doctor, she used the time to explore the ways to help her husband rediscover the belief he had once had in himself back when they were together in law school. She was in purpose. She always believed in the positive possibilities for the future. Through the studies involving endless centuries of thought, meditation, research, she had found something. She encouraged her husband to look into the network marketing. As she described what she had learned and what she thought were the possibilities of her husband, she realized that she had not seen him find Since their daughter was born, she knew that she was onto something, and so at last was he. 2 months later, I was at the top of my newfound company. I was happy, productive, active, informed, and I was back in full partnership with my boyfriend, in deepest fatherhood in love with my daughter, and most wonderful of all, my life. Julie's lupus was in total remission. It was not returned to this day. It is good for good. Gone for good. Julie's belief in me, in my success, in our success was so strong, so enduring, so unturnable. But I would not resist it. She transmitted it to me. She literally wore down my moody off-trackness with her belief, with a vision. Lived with purpose and respected the values with the ability to conquer her fear and mind, her beyond positive attitude, her focus, her commitment, her persistence, her devotion to our goals, her passion, desire, never ending, never ebbing, a stand to live life of learning and growth and personal development. Julie and I no longer share the same house, but we do share the same beautiful, wonderful daughter and journey they few have ever made together. Never again will I doubt the awesome power of the human mind, the human heart, the human spirit. Indeed, the celebration of that spirit has become my mission in life. That others should learn to live with passion has become my passion. This is why I'm writing this. Julie did not tell me what to do or who it was possible to become. She showed me through the pages of this book. I cannot literally show, I am forced to tell you so. When you find yourself feeling told things of Julie, create a picture of her in your mind's eye and see what she is and what she stands for. Let her help you and translate my telling verse into showing the way of truths. She did it for me. I know she can do it for you too. Julie's condition was a life sentence. She was advised to accept the inevitable, and that she could not and would not accept. Challenge number one: life can be rocky road. The challenge is not to let it grind you into dust, but to polish you into a brilliant chain. Once you know the secret, it makes all the challenges you face in your life and work a joy to deal with. Challenge is a catalyst for success. I offer this book as a challenge. Living with passion as a challenge. I challenge you to become all that you can be and more, and possibly more than that. I challenge you to have a ball doing it. Why do I make such an outlandish challenge? Because I want you to understand that meeting challenge head on is joy. Can you imagine that? Some people cannot. Some people hold challenge as an undesirable nuisance of birth, a thing to be avoided at any and all costs. And that's a shame, because not only can challenge be truly empowering, challenge also holds a dividend secret. And once you know the secret, it makes all the challenges you face in your life away work of joy to deal with. Ready? Here it is. A challenge is not the truth. And challenge really means false accusation. Trace the word back through the Middle English challenge and the Old World challenge, all the way to the Latin calamity, and they all turn out to be the accused falsely. This means the challenge is simply not the truth, it is something that's made up. Truth is, and you and I make up challenges to serve our needs, our desires, and our purpose. And that puts a new light to the challenge, doesn't it? Remember, Julie, if you haven't yet read, so when I use the word challenge, I'm clear that I'm making it up to serve my mission, which is to have millions of people living with passion. The greatest challenge you can create are challenges that empower you. Don't bother with challenges that serve you only to distract or frustrate you. Remember that challenges are not the truth, so you get to those, choose whether or to entertain them or not. Discard any challenges in your life that don't empower you, that do not serve your success and ability to live with passion. I used to avoid challenges or attempt to, not anymore. If in my life today I actively seek challenges, spread them out and make them up whenever I can, because I'm caught on into this power to empower me. I'm a connoisseur of fine challenges, a challenge nut. My name is Peter, and I'm a challengeaholic, and I recommend you to be the same. Probably no other football coach in history was as successful as the legend Vince Lombardi of the Green Bay Packers, who coached a successful career, then retired and then came back to coach again. One of his legion of admirers, Tomo Proto, said that he too would like to win every game, but I'm not sure winning would mean much if I always win. I think that's why Vince quit. He had won too much. He came back because he missed it, but he then he had a new challenge, making a comeback. A routine of constant challenge builds a strong peace in such a way. A good gym without workouts builds strong bodies. Challenge makes you strong by exercising your creative mental and emotional muscle. Challenges tones your intuition and imagination. Exercise your desire, puts mass on your positive beliefs, trims your fat fears, and adds definition and articulation to your attitudes. Challenges are the three weights you use to build your body of success. Have you ever reached a point in your life or work where you realize you're really not where you want to be? Have you ever stopped and noticed that you could be doing more, achieving more, experiencing more success? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go beyond making incremental gains in your performance or in the quality of your life and work? To rocket past your previous limitation and make a real breakthrough, there's the possibility of living with passion, and it's all yours. All you have to do is create a challenge and play with it. If you're ready, let's go. A routine of constant challenges builds a strong being as much as a good gym workout builds strong bodies. Wow. Number 2, secret belief. What you believe yourself to be, you are. Belief is a feeling of certainty, but being certain of what? Being certain of possibilities. When we believe something, when we really believe is that thing is possible, life after death, the cure for cancer or lupus or else, success is any endeavor. We either believe it's possible or we do not. Impossibility might simply be defined as an absence of a positive belief. The more certain you feel a thing is possible for you, the stronger your belief. Conversely, you can't weaken or even kill a belief when resisting doubt. Impossibility might be simply defined as the absence of positive belief. Doubt is like black paint. Belief is white. Have you ever mixed white paint into black to get gray? It takes an extraordinary amount of white added to the black to lighten it. Yet the tiniest dab of the black added to white makes it gray immediately. Doubt is like that. For over 100 years, the holy grail of the athletic competition was to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Yet with each failed attempt, the possibility of success faded further, and not simply further, but into a future, but further from any possibility whatsoever. In 1920s, 30s, and 40s, 50s, science, and then past for sports medicine held that the human body was simply incapable of such unbelievable performance. The conventional wisdom of the day that was the lungs could not process enough oxygen to sustain their effort. What would burst under the strain, as would the heart, the bones would fracture, joint ruptures and bones, muscles, the ligaments and tendons would fear and fail under such reasons. Man, it was psychological, physiological, and mental barrier. A human being running a mile in under 4 minutes was just not possible until May 6, 1954 in Oxford, England, when a young medical student named Roger Bannister ran a mile in 3 minutes 59 seconds. Obviously, Bannister believed it was possible, and with his historical run, he broke not only the physical 4-minute barrier but the universally held a belief barrier as well. Within another 3 years, another runner had duplicated Bannister's feat, and in the years that followed, hundreds of others did it too. Why were they all waiting for? Today, thousands of runners around the world have run a mile in under 4 minutes. Even do it in high school. Bannister proved it was possible. Not everyone believes the impossible too is something we make up. Clearly, belief is powerful. Feeling is believing. While our beliefs are feelings of certainty, that doesn't mean that our beliefs are absolute truth. However, we operate as our belief were the truth. And isn't that wonderful? It means we can challenge our beliefs whenever we want. We are in control. In fact, our beliefs are among the only few things in life we truly can control. In the realm of beliefs, we are totally free. Once there was a woman, Janice, in my network marketing sales organization. Janice was a legal secretary and started her own network marketing business because she was fed up with her bosses telling her what to do. Now, Janice had a fantastic opportunity to grow into a new enterprise quickly because she knew that at least 100 successful lawyers who could have served as perfect prospects for her fledgling business, but she didn't do it. I spent a good amount of time with Janice, and although she had great intentions, week after week, she continued not to get the results. Finally asked Janice, "What do you think is missing in your approach?" She hemmed and hawed as if afraid to tell me the real reason for her less than performance, and eventually, after we established enough trust between us, she confided in me that she didn't feel that she was on the same level as these professional people for whom she had once worked as a secretary. She didn't believe they would treat her as an equal or pay attention to the opportunity she was offering them. Janice was literally a prisoner of her own beliefs. Everyone knew it was impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes, everyone except Roger Bannister. Well, I had quite a different perspective. I had been a lawyer and had gotten out of the profession because I hated it. I also knew what it was like being faced with ethical questions almost every day of my lawyer's life. And in order to succeed in that profession, that is, keep my job, I constantly had to make choices that compromised my integrity. I didn't like that at all. I shared these thoughts and feelings with Janice on a number of occasions, and one day at the telephone call, she suddenly exclaimed, "Peter, I got it. What I'm offering these guys is hope. I've got the solution to their problems. They always snake me." In that moment, Janice simply shifted her belief from the lawyers and who she really was for them. She shifted her belief from a limiting one to an empowering one. The process of laying the foundation for that woman had taken her 2 months. Within the next 6 months, she became a transformed person, poised, confident, self-assured, and she took her income from 0 to 100,000, 10,000 per month. Wow. Your beliefs are your destiny. Your beliefs shape your actions. Your actions create the results. Your circumstances of your life, those results, when stretched out over a lifetime, are what's called your destiny. Therefore, your beliefs, what you cause your mind to think and feel certain about, and they create the sources of your destiny, the ultimate outcome of how life is up for you. Now stop and think for a moment. Is that the way you think it works for many people? This is a dramatic paradigm shift. Most of us walked around believing that when we earn 100,000 or drive that Porsche or live in a fantastic house, that then we will really feel great. We think that our results cause our feelings. Well, it can work that way, but that's not the only way it has to be. Obviously, things happen and you feel one way or the other about them. That's the choice you have. But you see that their feelings can also cause results. Remember, your beliefs are feelings of certainty. Feelings which, however aware or unaware you might be of it, you choose to have. Your feelings direct your actions. So if you want to achieve a specific result, one surefire way to achieve it is to feel the way you would as if that result were already present and true for you. How would you like to feel if you earn $100,000? Can you think of any better way to bring that kind of income into your life as fast as possible than feeling like 100,000 income earner? There isn't any. You probably can't bring that Porsche into your driveway this very minute, but you most certainly can feel the way you would feel if that car was sitting there right this minute. And imagine what would happen in time if you wait around feeling that way. Whether or not a Porsche happens to appeal to you, my point is that how powerful a creative tool belief is for you. This is not positive thinking, mumbo jumbo. It's how great accomplishments actually occur. It is how success happens. And it's crucial that you understand the point, or at least try to, the possibility. Now, knowing that it's not enough knowledge alone never produces accomplishment. One of the greatest half-truths, that is half lies in the world, is knowledge is power. Not quite. Do you remember from the high school science days of the type of energy, potential and kinetic? Potential energy is that potential, it just sits there accomplishing nothing. Kinetic energy is energy in action, is actually doing something. It's the same with the energy of knowledge. Knowledge in action is kinetic, is moving and shaking, not just sitting there in your mind. And what quality brings the energy of the potential knowledge is tendency to just sit there doing nothing and turns it into the wisdom in action. Belief. Number one, belief for all high achievers I have ever met or studied is the belief that action supersedes everything. I know this is a fundamental shift for many of us. It's meant changing the habitual strategy of ready and fire to the more proactive, the most people would assume more reckless and dangerous fire and ready. And that's precisely the kind of shift that generates quantum leaps and breakthroughs in our life. Your beliefs shape your actions create your results, and those results being stretched out over a lifetime are what's called your destiny. Action supersedes everything. Two types of beliefs. Beliefs come in two forms: empowering or limiting, possibility or no possibility. People commonly refer to these as positive, negative beliefs. Remember, Janice, how she shifted the beliefs from negative to positive, from limiting to empowering, and the results she achieved when she didn't has the power of adopting possibility beliefs. And what's really fascinating is that we do not acquire any evidence to form our beliefs. Of course, Janice had all that inside addition, loyalty, information from me, and all those runners had the fact that Sir John Roger had already run a 3.9 mile to boast their courage. But Bannister didn't. How did he form such an empowering belief while the rest of the world had tenaciously to their limiting ones? Answer surprisingly simple. He made it up. You might say that I made up these beliefs for Janice, and you would be right because I did. There was just as much evidence that lawyers love their work as there was that they don't. But for Janice's sake, they served her was to make up beliefs that supported her, seeing herself as a contribution to those lawyers. Making it up is powerful. This is one of the great creative secrets to success in any and every aspect of the life and work. You make up your beliefs, you decide positive or negative, you choose or believe what you and how you do it. Of course, you can point to any given event to influence and say, ha, that's really where that belief came from. But remember Julie's story. Look at her circumstances. She had the most beautiful evidence that she and would be disabled for the rest of her life, one of which limiting circumstances. How did Julie adopt such an empowering belief, or belief that pulled us both to the lives of health, happiness, and success? I've asked her. She says, doesn't know. And the more she looks at the process of what happened and how, the more readily she realized that she made her beliefs up. She had no facts to support curing her lupus, only a possibility. In fact, she had all the evidence in the world that said it couldn't be done. She had no evidence that I would find my life's work and turn it around. My depression and despair, only a possibility. In fact, she had evidence that said I wouldn't make it. I had been highly successful, a student, a highly successful lawyer, a happy husband, and a proud papa. And in spite of all my success, I'd forgotten it all. None of my previous accomplishments had generated me a belief in the possibilities for my future and for our future together. It's a possibility we believe and we create possibilities even when we have the most limiting evidence at hand. Can you think of anything more limiting than being a prisoner of war, held under the most inhuman of conditions with no apparent hope or rescue? Viktor Frankl's famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, which chronicles life of Nazi concentration camp, vividly demonstrates an extraordinary human capacity for triumphing over external circumstances by the power of freedom and possibility thinking. We clearly have a choice: create beliefs that limit or create beliefs that empower. It really is that simple. Okay, so how do you do that? First things first, don't try. Trying is so trying. Since belief is a feeling of certainty based on possibility, since it seems so very true that man can only do what he believes he can do, this puts the kibosh of the word try. See, if there's a pen and pencil near you, actually, any object will do. Now try to pick it up. What happened? If this doesn't make sense to you, then don't just read it. Really, go ahead. Try. On the immortal words of the Star Wars Jedi Master Yoda, Luke, you either do it or you do not. There is no try. If your dictionary has the word try in it, I suggest you draw a big line through it, then do the same with the try in your own vocabulary. Now let's go back to how to create the beliefs that empower you and how to rid yourself of limiting beliefs. Asking the right questions. One thing I've found common to all the high achievers I've met is that they ask themselves questions that help them create beliefs that empower them. Okay. This is one of the great creative secrets of success in any and every aspect of life and work. You make up your beliefs. You decide. You either do or you do not. There is no try. For example, what kind of question is this? What am I so fat? Is it a limiting or empowering question? Look at the possibilities of our answer to the question. They're all limiting. It's like the classic mind bender. When did you stop beating your children? You're trapped no matter how you respond. Where my so fat is bound to bring up a negative belief such as because I'm a pig, I have no willpower, I just can't stop eating. My whole family is fat. No matter what you say, you are trapped. You either failure or a helpless victim. Probably. But ask the question this way instead. What action can I take to lose 20 pounds and enjoy the process? Now, what happens with your answer? You begin to explore the possibilities, don't you? Uh-huh. You start looking at a possible solution, exploring creative ideas. Maybe you have even begun to make some new beliefs for yourself. It's a whole new and different ballgame. It's a high achieving question which can be answered only by high achieving possibilities. One key to establishing new beliefs in yourself and in others too is to ask questions that it is possible. Possibilities, answers. Take a minute right now to write on 2 or 3 achieving high achieving questions you can ask yourself about your success. Remember, you are about to become your questions to choose those that bring out the possibilities for your future. Mm-hmm. Another way to use this positive high achieving questioning is to take on those areas in your life where you are got limiting beliefs. In the language of today, you could call these dysfunction beliefs simply because they aren't supporting you in achieving what you want in life. Take these negatives and ask questions in a more positive way. Just turn the negative into positive as we did in the Genesis and How view of the lawyer prospects. For example, why can't I quit smoking to a positive by asking what steps can I take to be smoke free, or what can I do if I lost my job, into what alternative exists to give me the work security I want and deserve. In each of these instances, the answers shift from those which serve only to empower your negative beliefs and limitations to no possibility into those which empower your aspirations and desires and generate new beliefs for what is possible for you to achieve. You might be wondering why this works so well. It's because of the structure of your subconscious and the superconscious mind, the power of subconscious mind and superconscious. I think of these mental patterns as the lower and higher minds. Not that they are separate, or not that one is better than the other. They are two sides of this mind coin that is in does your thinking. They are the two parts of your feeling intelligence that work together to create your belief. High achievers ask themselves high achieving questions which can only be answered by high achieving possibilities. One key to establishing new beliefs in yourself and in others is to ask questions that are possibility answers. Let's talk about the subconscious first. The subconscious part of the mind is like a storehouse of all your memories, everything that you have ever said and done, and everything that you have ever been said and done to you and about you as well. It also stores everything that you have ever thought. Now, isn't that an interesting idea? Maybe even a little scary? You would think of the subconscious mind as a set of old-fashioned balance scales and type the dish hanging on each side, like the scales of justice. So one side holds your positive memories, the other your negative ones. When one side is weighed down more than the other, that side represents what you believe is true for you. What's interesting about the way of subconscious works is that it accepts everything it's told, hears, sees, experiences, thinks, feels, etc., as if it were the truth. Think about this for a moment. Here's your subconscious taking in all that happens as the truth, and one day when you are still a little kid, somebody tells you you're a jerk. In reply, you say out loud, "No, I'm not. The score is now 1-1." A little later, you do something careless. Drop something or say something stupid. All of a sudden, the notion pops into your mind that was something a joke would do. Not 2-1 in favor of you, the joke. Then perhaps you ask yourself, hey, am I really a jerk? 3-1. Now magnify this process over a lifetime of experiences, other people's conversation to you, talking to yourself. Is it possible that on one side of your subconscious skill, there are hundreds, even thousands of instances of you as jerk? You bet it's possible, and what you suppose is the self-image of the person that is a jerk. Messages weighs down his or her scales, big jerk, and that's how it happens that we carry around both empowering and limiting beliefs about ourselves and our world. The child who's told that he can't do and can't do that over and over at the parents teaches another kid and then multiplies those by all the times. He says inside his own mind, I can't is destined to carry around, and I can't believe, which just keeps getting bigger and bigger every day for the rest of his life. Thankfully, the opposite also occurs. And the child who is constantly encouraged by hearing that she can do anything or being in situations that do that successfully, like shooting baskets at a rim and not net placed 5 feet off the ground instead of the conventional 10 feet or more, forms beliefs that agree with all that possible input. Here's an example I love. There's a progressive school where you think Mozart was normal. Wolfgang and Mozart began composing at the age of 5 and was performing difficult pieces and several different instruments a year later. The teachers at the school operate as if they were true and possible for every child. Talk about empowering beliefs. For their first music lesson in the school, the kids' parents and teachers all get dressed up in black tie and evening dresses. Everyone assembles in the school auditorium as one by one the children are introduced. Come out on stage, violin in hand, take a bow and whistle. The tremendous applause and the cheers of the audience. That's the first lesson. Keep that up for 12 years of school and you are going to produce the most bountiful crop of highest yours in the world. Appreciation, recognition, positive encouragement are so very important and so very powerful because they carry such weight which tells in our subconscious mind. Once two little kittens discovered a big pail of ice cream, now being kitten. They being tired, tried everything they could do to all get all the delicious cream. They finally did and they fell in. At first they were both in kitty heaven, swimming around in the cream, lapping it up, drinking more and more and more. But after drinking their fill, they all of a sudden realized that they couldn't get up. And they tried and tried, but the rim of the pail was just too high to reach. About that time, the kitten playmates came along and gathered around the rim of the big tail pail and started shouting and jeering at the two kittens in the cream. They made fun of them, mocked them, and laughed at how stupid and foolish they were all to fall into the pail of cream where they couldn't get out. One kitten stopped looking up at the others and making fun of him and felt more and more dejected. He kicked and failed his legs and paws, but finally he gave up inside exhausted to the feet. But the other kitten kept looking up at the playmates. She seemed to be renewed by the taunts and kept trying and jumping up as it reached the edge of the bed. Eventually, all her jumping about turned the cream to butter, and she stood on the firm surface and jumped up and out of the pail easily. When she got out and stood next to the other kittens, one of them leaned over and asked, "How do you keep trying even though we are laughing at you and making fun of you and telling you would never make it?" "Oh, you see, I'm a little deaf. I thought you were cheering me on, and that inspired me to keep trying." Aha, you see, just like me, you should love it. Using the say success secret of belief means turning a kitten's deaf ear to any and all disempowering beliefs you may encounter. To the subconscious, it's simply a number game. More bad news, limiting beliefs, more good news, empowering beliefs. The best news of all is that we each choose what input the subconscious gets as its news. You've probably heard of affirmation and visualization. They work for the reason they work so well is that they're simply positive talk or images that is sent to the subconscious mind on a regular basis. They literally reprogram the way you think and feel about yourself, the balance the scales in your favor. That's all you have to do to create new empowering beliefs in yourself, and it works is fine, but let's see limiting beliefs with positive supportive messages as well. Although this is the truth, people often forget you have control over what you think. In fact, that like the choice of what you believe is one of the very few things over which you truly have control. What you think all added up to your subconscious determines your beliefs, which dictate what it is or not possible for you to accomplish in your life. Some personal growth and development teachers and trends say focus on the results. I don't. It hasn't worked for me. What has worked is to focus on my beliefs and what's possible, to ask empowering questions, to think those thoughts that encourage and inspire and positively weigh the scales of my subconscious in my favor. I prefer to leave the results up to that one and only being that does control them, God. The rest, I think, is up to you and me. You have to control over what you think. In fact, that like the choice of what you believe is one of the very few things over which you truly do have control. To the subconscious is simply a number game. More bad news, limited beliefs, more good news, empowering beliefs. the best news of all is that we can each choose what input the subconscious gives as a news. Subconscious mind, I don't want to make trouble here, but it is my firm and unshakable conviction that intuition is not the exclusive province of the female of our human species. Everyone has intuition. That's what the subconscious mind is, intuition. And the access you have to your intuition is through your imagination. When you experience an intuitive insight, one of this illogical coming from nowhere ideas of or inspirations, how do you usually describe it? Something like, I have a feeling that that's because intuition exists and functions in the emotional mind. That same have called our feeling awareness or feeling attention. It is your thoughts and feelings that create the results you accomplish in your life. When they are in some unexplainable way aligned with what is right and true, your thoughts and feelings simply proceed towards the vital conclusion which you call the result. Want to feel wonderful? Think and feel wonderful. Don't for a minute assume that one certain hoped or anticipated results are achieved. The wonderful feelings will then follow. That's the big lie. Positive thoughts and feelings are not the result of positive results, they are the cause. And the place to tap into them directly in through your subconscious mind, your intuition. Just try, remember that. To walk around depressed, dejected, and angry at life for throwing dirt in your face and see what you get. More done. If that doesn't work any other way, want dirt, ask for it. Want gold instead? Change the question. We'll refer back to the imagination again later in this. It is critical factuality, one of the mental exercises that gives truly successful people's minds. So young and fresh imagination is one of the greatest and sadly least used resources. For some reason, people assume imagination is the sole province of artists, children, and crazy people. Shakespeare put this was in the mouth of the Duke Theseus. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are the imagination of compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That is the madman, the lover, all as frantic, sees Helen's beauty in the brow of Egypt. The poet's eye is a fine frenzy rolling doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, and as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them into shapes to give the airy nothing a local habitation and a name. But the Duke has it wrong. We all have the gift of the poet, rich in possibilities of boundless imagination, the ability to give hope, shapes, and names to things unknown, to dream we just forgot. Just an intuition is not just for women, imagination is for all of us. But for most people, imagination is a muscle that's not used enough to be flexible and strong. So make it to the gym and give it a good workout a couple of times a week, and pretty soon your imagination will have biceps like Arnold Schwarzenegger. A reporter was talking once with Walt Disney and at the grand opening at the Disney World in Florida. The reporter said, "It's too bad Walt and didn't live to see this. He did, that's why you're looking at it now." Imagination powerful. Beliefs are the best when they evolve from and express two things all human beings need as much as air, water, and food, purpose and values. That's where we are going next. Positive thoughts and feelings are not the result of positive results in your life, they are the cause. Purpose and values. Secret number 3. Great minds have purpose, others have wishes. Everything we do and everyone we are is created by our purpose and values. Take a look at any trouble in the world, whether between rival fractions in a varying country, between corporate competitors, or between the husband and wife who are not getting on well together. I can promise you that you'll find that parties involved do not recognize or honor one another's values nor empower each other to express their life purpose. Let's start with values first because they are the seed from which the purpose grows. Values are the heart of the matter. Your values are what makes you stick. Your values are the seed and the source of your wants and desires. Yet most people don't really think about their values or the values of others, even when they are considering what it takes to be successful. Your values are what makes you tick. Your values are the seed and the source of your wants and desires. Whenever I'm speaking to someone about the possibility of coming into business with me, the first thing I look at what is to discover what his or her values are. In fact, I base my relationship with people on their values and how they relate to me and mine. They tell me if my opportunity is right for them and if they are right for it and for me. Our values are the wellspring from which come all that we want in life. Everything we seek and search for, our values are the source of who we think we are. Let me give you example of a value. One of the most powerful values many people share is our world. And our world today is belonging. People want to belong, to be part of what's going on and what's happening. It's in the business of network marketing itself. And although most people seem to be get into the business of for the money or for the time, freedom, a home, self-employed business like mine offers, I have found that the majority of men and women in ensuring his industry do not belong to something important and fun. Do so to belong to something important and fun. The social aspect of network marketing is very important to people, yet most networkers don't seem to appreciate it consciously. Did you know that there were over 120 formal 12-step groups operating in the United States today? People really want to belong, and they often want us to know that who they are and what it is that they belong to as well. That's another value which comes some marketers are now calling egonomics. Look at the t-shirt, the athletic gear, and the hats we buy. Even if we are not sure a basket run a mile or sell, that item have got a brand name or the maker plastered all over them. Those products do more than just advertise the manufacturer's name, they statements of their owner's values. Or look at this license plate of the cars 10, 15 years ago. They were meaningless combination of the letters and numbers. Today they say things like Bob's Audi, BMW's for mom, go for pro. Do you see that a man and woman wearing a Rolex is expressing his own values? That's pretty straightforward right now. Look at this. I know a multi-millionaire who wears a $48 Timex because it's an expression of his values. He likes people to notice his inexpensive watch and to know that he could wear anything no matter how much it costs. One of his values is being different and it is being thrifty. The values is so interesting to who we are. That's not what really values being something we choose to have. It's almost as if we are revealing that they are the values that have us. Values are that compelling. Values motivate us, and when we find our values not being respected by what other people's or institution, we disappear them. Like the stranger was an instant. We will not keep company with people who do not honor our values. We will not do business with companies that do not empower the expression of our values. Let me give you a famous example. Our values are the wellspring from which comes all that we want in life. Everything we seek and search for, our values are the sources of who we think we are. Values are intrinsic to who we are. It's almost as if they are the values that have us. Values are that compelling. Have you ever shopped at Nostradamus? Nostradamus is a very successful department store, and one reason it's so successful is that it is very big on honoring people's values. They play like piano music in their stores and serve food to shoppers. They bend over backwards to have the customer is king and queen. Value become real and tangible for each of their current and potential customers. Now, Nostradamus has one of the most liberal returns policies to all the shopping done. One day, an elderly woman came to and told a Nostradamus salesman that she wanted to return something that was out in her car. The sales clerk accompanied her to the parking lot and proceeded to unload 4 tires of the lady was dissatisfied. He promptly wrote up her return her money, thanked her for her patronage, and expressed the hope that she would return and find the future purchases more satisfactory. Pretty good service, I would say. Really respects the customer's values. Oh, just one more thing. Nostrum has never ever sold tires. Respect my values and you have got a friend for life. Ignore them. And what do you suppose is at the heart of the high divorce rate in the United States? What do you suppose will happen in the institution of marriage if all he and she respected and empowered each other's values? Yet how many husband and wives really truly know with clarity that each other's values are? Values are bottom line. So What are your values? What qualities do you most admire and most want to experience and express in your life? In a moment, I'm going to ask you to write down some of your values. But first, I want to explain something that might shape the way you see values and help them be more powerful in your service only by becoming more specific and more clear for you. All of your values matter. Even the most seemingly superficial of them, however, the real power lies in the value I call essential. Essential values are the ones which have nothing else inside them, like the prime number. They can't be divided any further. You could call them source values. They are really the heart of the matter. Let's look at as money as an example. Suppose you decide that having money is a value for you. Fine. Now ask yourself this: when I have money, what will I bring? Will it bring me? If you can answer the question with something other than money, then money itself is not an essential value. Look deeper. You might say money will bring you a house, a new car, travel, educate kids, and whatever else. Again, fine. Now, when you have any one of these, what will that bring you? I'm asking you to be very serious and even rigorous about doing this questioning. Your answer will probably be surprised you and please you too. For instance, if you say that you want money to have a new house and you ask, if I have a new house, what will that bring me? Your answer: security for my life. And perhaps peace of mind, prestige. Now you're getting down to essential stuff. The essential dreams and success are made of. And the fascinating thing is that the money itself is rarely, I'm tempted to say never, a truly essential value. Nobody really wants the middle class, but many of us do want freedom, adventure, fun, recognition, appreciation, being in the belonging, independence, creativity, and so forth. Make a list out now of the top 5 values you have in your life and keep asking yourself clarifying questions until you have no more questions and have gotten down to the sense of each of those values. Sometimes, in fact, more often than not, you can't get to these values all by yourself. You may want to do this process, then ask someone else and have him ask the question to flush out the essence of your values. Plate 1: the truth is revealed in dialogue. He was so right. My business has been taking a lot of people about their values. I don't ask right out. So, Joan, what are your essential values? Because most people wouldn't know how to answer that. Instead, I would ask where Joan lives, when she thinks and feels about it, what she would like to be different in her life, if anything. I ask about her family, her work, her hobbies, and what she does for fun. Sometimes, if I'm feeling particularly close to the person, excitedly brave for that moment, I'll ask the most powerful and profound question of all: John, are you happy? Be careful with this one. Some people consider it as an intrusion. Others will get so distraught they will disappear from you, even though they are still sitting right in front of you. It's not a good cocktail party question, but if you are sincerely interested in that person and you really want to know what's important to them in your lives, fast, ask it, then listen. Two things will happen. First, you will learn things that person probably hasn't shared with anyone else before. You will know them in a way which is actually closer to most of all your friends and relatives. And second, you'll probably make a good friend. Let me tell you the story of Richard Brooke, CEO and President of US Oxford Press. That illustrates what I mean. A psychologist once did a research project that had him fly from New York to LA. His task was to sit next to another passenger and engage that person in 6 hours of conversation, never once making a declarative statement about himself. He was only to ask the other person question. When the plane landed, the psychologist had a team of his people there at the airport ready to interview his fellow passengers. What no, they found was that this man with whom the psychologist had just spent the entire coast to coast trip talking had only two things to say. First, that man, the one sitting next to me, yes, he is the most interesting person I've ever met. And the second, his name, gosh. Now that you mention it, I didn't get that fellow's name. Ask and you shall receive all you ever wanted and more. And one of the things you will receive is the key to success in working with other people. Ask them questions that reveal their values and listen. People love to talk about interesting things. For most of us, the most interesting thing in the world is ourselves. One more thing about values, they change just because you have written a list of your top 5 values today doesn't mean that you can't have new ones emerge or that old ones may not be replaced someday any day. If there is one law of life I've learned, It is the fact that everything changes, your beliefs, your values, even your purpose, which we talk about next, are ever changing. That's one way you can tell if you're learning or growing. If you find yourself doing the same old for a long time, look how it changes the way of things in our universe. Everything around us is changing, and you must, and I changed too. Now let's talk about your purpose. Changes the way of things in our universe. Everything around us is changing, and you and I must change too. Purpose is your vision, it calls forth your passion. Either you have a purpose that gets you out of the bed in the morning or you don't like purpose. I think there are two kinds of people in this world. People who are on purpose and people who seem rather purposeful. The difference is that one is living and his or her life purpose, and that is not. This is one of those parts of it, black and white matters. Either you have a purpose that you get out of bed in the morning, or you don't. A man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder. Purpose is not something to be completed or finished, just like a goal. You achieve your life purpose by